So you want to carry a gun in New Jersey. Folks, today in this video we're going to talk about some things that you need to consider before you ever apply for a permit to carry a handgun in New Jersey. Let's get started. Welcome to Martell Training Group. I'm Steve Mazzagatti. I'm a retired New Jersey State Trooper, firearms instructor, and author of the best-selling book Defend Confidently. If you're a New Jersey resident or you're an out-of-state resident and you're thinking about applying for a carry permit or a permit to carry a handgun, as it's known in New Jersey, for personal protection, then this video is for you. We're going to lay out what you need to know legally, morally, ethically, and practically before you ever even complete the application. New Jersey is one of the most restrictive states for firearms. Yes, you can get a permit to carry a handgun, or otherwise people refer to it as a carry permit or concealed carry permit. All kind of means the same thing. New Jersey refers to it as a permit to carry a handgun. And since the landmark U.S. Supreme Court decision NYSERPA versus Bruin in June of 2022, many people in New Jersey have applied for and received their carry permits. But that means proper training, accurate paperwork, honest answers, and understanding the entire process. We're going to go through three major areas that you need to think about or consider before applying for a carry permit in the state of New Jersey. The first one is legal reality. You need mandatory training from a New Jersey State Police approved instructor. So you have to find a firearms instructor approved that you can attend a class and get trained. There's also an online PowerPoint presentation that you have to watch on the New Jersey State Police website. You have to apply for and receive what's called a firearms ID card if you don't have one already. That's another process that you have to go through separately and before you get apply for a permit to carry a handgun. That's through a system called FARS, Firearms Application and Registration System. I've done a detailed video on that. I'll put a link to that. There's also a bunch of fees and costs involved. I've done a video on that. I'll put a link to a playlist that has, what I think are relevant videos for beginners or people that are thinking about getting a carry permit in New Jersey. So when you're filling out these applications, whether it's for your ID card or your carry permit, you have to be honest because these answers can and will be checked and verified. They will conduct a thorough and complete background investigation on you, including social media. So if you've said anything online, made any comments in the past that show you have a tendency towards violence or that you condone violence, for example, these things can be used against you when they're conducting your background. So keep that in mind. If you lie on the application, you'll not only get denied, but you could also possibly be charged. It is a crime in the state of New Jersey to purposely lie on a firearms application. There are so many areas that the government has called sensitive areas where there is really just another term for gun-free zone. And it's areas that the government has designated gun-free. So even if you have a legal carry permit in New Jersey, you're not allowed to carry in certain locations. And there's currently a lawsuit that's pending. It's been litigated through the court system for a while now. There are some preliminary injunctions that were issued preventing the state from enforcing parts of that law. I like to call it the anti-carry law. After the NYSERPA versus Bruin case, the U.S. Supreme Court case, New Jersey came out and said, here's our new law. Of course, we'll issue you your carry permit, but here's our new law that basically restricts carrying a gun in the entire state. So the state was told you can't enforce certain parts of it pending the outcome of the court case. We're all waiting for the final disposition of the court case. So these areas, if you get a carry permit, you have to stay up to date. This is a fluid situation, meaning that there are changes, and tomorrow a decision can be made which either restricts gun carrying or eases up on some of those restrictions. So you have to take the initiative and stay up to date on these cases and topics because they do affect you if you're carrying a gun. Number two has to do with mindset and ethics. So you have to ask yourself, why do I want to carry a gun? And if the answer is, well, because I can, Second Amendment. So not that that's wrong, you can, your Second Amendment right, but I don't think it's enough, right? I think it's also about responsibility. It's about wanting to protect yourself and your family in public, but you also have to do it responsibly. So in my book, Defend Confidently, I go into this in more detail, but to summarize, you need to be emotionally prepared for a confrontation and what the aftermath will involve, right? It's going to involve a lot with your emotions, it's going to involve a lot with the legal system, and also civilly as well. Because even if you're legally cleared in a shooting, you can be and probably will be sued civilly by your attacker or your attacker's family. You must value de-escalation and avoidance first. So you've heard the expression, you probably heard the expression, the best way to win a confrontation is to avoid it in the first place. Sometimes you can't do that, but in a lot of cases you can do that. You can walk away, you can de-escalate. In New Jersey, we do not have a stand your ground law, meaning that if you are threatened in public, if you can retreat with complete safety, you are supposed to do that first. I've said this in other videos and in my book. You have to have the mindset that your gun is a tool of last resort. It's a self-defense tool of last resort, meaning that your use of force must be justified legally and morally. Number 3 involves practical considerations. So you have to know where you can and cannot carry. We mentioned it earlier. Sensitive places involve schools, parks, transit, private property with postage signage, government buildings, any restaurant or establishment that serves alcohol. A lot of New Jersey diners serve alcohol. Under current law, you cannot carry, if you have a carry permit, in a diner that serves alcohol, even if you're not the one consuming alcohol. Because under the new law that was written after the Bruin decision in New Jersey, you cannot consume alcohol or drugs while you're carrying, which is not a bad idea, of course. So you're not supposed to be consuming alcohol while you're carrying in the first place. So even though that's part of the law and you're not supposed to be drinking while carrying, you cannot be at that diner. So you cannot be at the diner carrying with your family because somebody 2-3 tables away might be served an alcoholic drink. So that's currently enforceable in New Jersey. You have to always carry your ID. Now, in the past, they were issued on a physical card. Now they're electronic. They're emailed to you. The link is emailed to you. You download it on a PDF form. You can certainly print that out. You can take a picture of it. You can carry a digital copy on your phone. But if your phone dies and you get stopped by the police, one of the requirements is you have to provide that to them. You have to show them your carry permit. So whether it's on your phone in electronic form or you have a printed copy, you have to have a quality equipment, you have to have a quality holster, and it has to be a holster according to New Jersey statute because it is defined in New Jersey. I mentioned the carry permit and having to show it to a police officer. So you have to be familiar with what to do if you get stopped or you have to interact with the police and you're carrying. So you should be at least familiar with that. You should continue your training. The minimum requirement, I know there's a lot of people on both sides. Some people think there shouldn't be any requirements. Some people think there should be more requirements. New Jersey has probably more requirements than most states. So to me, the minimum is not enough, right? You should personally want to continue your training. As an example, the minimum requirement for New Jersey carry permit is you have to qualify at the range with a firearms instructor once every 2 years. So when you go for your initial and then when you renew, I'll just tell you briefly that when you renew your carry permit every 2 years, it's pretty much the same process that you have to go through with the application and the fees. And you do have to qualify again. The only difference is you don't have to take that initial training class with an instructor. You do have to qualify with an instructor at the range, and you do have to get a use of force instruction, block of instruction by a firearms instructor. But you don't have to go through all the training a second time or third time, but you do have to go through pretty much the same process every 2 years. So some people ask me, I'm going to apply 2 months before my carry permit expires, so my initial qualification is still good, right? I can submit that initial one with my renewal. And the answer is absolutely not. You can't submit because in 2 months when your carry permit expires, so does that qualification. Not only that, what, you just don't want to shoot your gun for what, 4 years? So I get this question, and it's surprising to me because you should want to shoot your gun more than once every 2 years. So just imagine this scenario. You haven't shot your gun in almost 2 years, and you're out, and you need to use your gun to defend yourself or a loved one or a third party, and your heart rate's going to increase. You get that adrenaline rush, your heart rate's going to increase, your respiratory rate is going to increase, you're going to get that auditory exclusion where you can't hear so much what's going on around you, and now you may have to shoot your gun in self-defense, and you haven't shot in almost 2 years. How do you think you're going to perform under that stressful situation, not having shot your gun in almost 2 years? So you should want to shoot more than once every 2 years. And this goes along with training and wanting to continue your training. So a lot of people think, well, I'm going to get the training, the minimum required, I'm going to go through the process, now I have my gun, I'm going to carry. Well, what if you're in a situation where you're attacked physically, but it's not a lethal force situation? So if somebody assaults you, it's a simple assault situation, they push you, they strike you, that is not a situation where you can just go right to lethal force and take out your gun. And in New Jersey, at that point, you can't even show your gun and say back off or else, because that's considered brandishing. So you can only take your gun out when you're in a lethal force situation, or you think that it's about to become that. You could have in your head, this is about to become a situation where I need my gun, and then you can unholster or whatever. But there are steps to go through, and it could happen in a split second. It could happen in 10 seconds. It depends on what you're facing. But the point is, you can't just go to lethal use of force if it's less than that you're facing. So this means that you should have basic self-defense skills, and you should have some training to be able to fight with your gun, whether that's out. So maybe you took your gun out because you thought it could be a lethal force situation, but now it's not, and you're going to reholster and somebody comes to punch you. Now you need to fight with your gun in your hand, or maybe your gun malfunctions and you still need to fight, or your gun's in the holster, you didn't take it out, but the person knows you have a gun, sees it, feels it, and now tries to take it away from you. So that's called weapon retention. You should have some training in weapon retention, keeping that gun in the holster while someone's trying to take it away from you. And I must say, someone who's had this training in the state police, if you've never had it before, it's an eye-opening experience. If someone's actively trying to get your firearm from you, whether it's in your hand or in your holster, and if you've never had it, you will be surprised at how difficult it can be when someone is on a mission to get your gun from you. So this is stuff that you need to consider. I hope you never have to use your gun, but if you do, it's most likely not going to happen the way you see it in the movies. And you need to consider these other things, like, for example, carrying something that's less than lethal, like pepper spray or pepper gel, or a flashlight that has a strobe function. So you may be able to deploy some of these other devices without ever having to go to use your gun. And if you're not carrying pepper spray or another device, if it's legal to carry a taser, for example, in your state, if you're not carrying these other devices, then you have no other choice but to use your hands. And then if it gets to lethal force, then you obviously go to your gun as a last resort. But these are things that you should be considering, folks. So to summarize, folks, carrying a gun in New Jersey means being educated and above reproach. In Defend Confidently, I go into these topics in more detail. I'll put a link to my book. If you would like a free guide to personal safety and situational awareness, click on the link on the screen or in the description to get your free guide. There's a lot of information. It's actually 16 guides in one. Subscribe for more videos like this. Also, if you felt this was useful, please hit that like button and share it. As always, folks, thanks for watching. Take care and stay safe.